Hey everyone, it's Caddy, and welcome back to week number 3 of the Mojo Buster series that I have right now going on with my good friends Hannah Lemieux, Megan, who is Crafty Maggie, and Christy from Christy's Beautiful Life. They will all be linked below so you guys can check them out and check out their videos for this week. So this week we are taking on my challenge. My challenge is to use either mixed media, you could use cut files, something to create your own background. And I'm going to go over a few of my layouts that I've made, and a lot of these are very recent layouts, just to show you guys kind of where I'm coming from and my idea for this challenge. So, first thing you can do to get you started when you're, at least for me, and I know this will not work for everyone, but you know, sometimes you just got to give things a try and see if it'll help you boost your creativity or get you going when you're kind of stuck and don't know where to go. So for me, it's very fun to create my own backgrounds. Sometimes when you create your own background, it's very easy to go from there because you have a starting off point. So I'm going to go over a few layouts with you guys, and I'll just quickly explain to you guys kind of what I mean. So as far as using mixed media, this layout right here, this is very recent, you guys. I have videos for most, I'm sure, of these layouts, but basically I used a stencil which has these squares, and I misted it, and then I used some of my shimmers, dazzlers, and I created this fun background. Once I had that background created, it was very easy to just kind of decide what I wanted to do. I decided to print my pictures very small, and I use them as squares. I just use a square punch, and I did the same thing for these pieces. Since I had done it in blue, I wanted to pick a color that would contrast that nicely, so I picked the yellow and I picked the accents of black. So it came together very quickly, but it all started off with just this background, with the stenciling that I did and the shimmers there. So it came together very quickly, and it kind of dictated where things would go because of the way I had laid out the background of this. For this one, I created the background as well. I used a burst stencil, and I used some modeling paste, I used some shimmers, I used some mists, and then, you know, the most logical thing in this case is to place your photo in the center, because you're not going to place your photo anywhere else, you know, other than the center of the burst. So that kind of dictated where my photo was going to go. And then my embellishing I did basically around the photo, and then I added these pieces going you know, along parallel with the rays of this sunburst. So it came together very quickly as well because I already had the main element, the main design done in the background. So that was that. For this one, also I used some gelatos here, which I smudged with my finger, created some circles, and this was also very quick and very easy. Once I had everything done, I knew I wanted my photo to be in the center. I did my title, and I didn't overdo the embellishing. I kept it really simple just so that my background would stand out. But again, just created a fun layout, and this was me just playing around one day and just playing with my gelatos, and I used some of the, I have it right here, this gloss medium. So it was just me playing around, and then it turned into a background. This one, I also started off with the background. So I was inspired by Bonita Rose, who is on Instagram. She had done her traveler's journal with a similar looking flower. So I grabbed some mists and I created this yellow background, and I scribbled on these flowers, added some watercolor, and boom, that's it. These are some cut file leaves that I had laying around on my desk, believe it or not. And it just went, you know, it came together very quickly and very nicely. And I love how it turned out. And so I already had this main element here, so I knew that I wanted to kind of mimic the triangle effect over here. And then I added a few pieces down here. And then my photo, I could have placed it higher, but I wanted it to be kind of overlapping the white and the color. So it came together very quickly once I had this down here done. This one also, I used stencils here with some mists, which I used, and I stamped the stencils. So I created that. I could have gone the other way and done it like this, and you could have maybe done this strip down here. There's a lot of ways you can go about designing this page, but I chose to do it like this. but it gives you somewhere to start off. Once you have that done, you kind of know where you can go from there, and you kind of have to work around it. So it might seem harder, but it actually makes it easier because you kind of have set places where you can place things. So for me, it makes it a lot easier. Then I have this one, which I used again this acrylic gloss. I used some shimmers, and I just used the triangle stencil, which I just masked off to make triangles. And I just used different shimmers colors. And then I just used a few pieces I had in my stash. These, I made little shaker pockets there. So yeah, and then I just cut my pictures. And since I had done the triangles in the background, I cut my photos into triangles. It kind of, that dictated where I wanted that to go. So it was, again, came together very quickly because I had the background done. And this was, again, me just playing around. I have a thought, and I'll just sit down and play around with it. And if it doesn't turn out the way I imagined, I just put it away or discard it. But if it does, and it, can be something really cool like this, which I love how it turned out. This one is very recent. This one I just used a stencil with some shimmers, dazzlers, and I used the scallops, and then I just used it kind of in a mirror effect here. I did like a mirror. I placed the stencil, and then I placed it over here and did the same thing. And then I had the idea, well, you know what? I'm going to fill in the scallops. And I used pattern paper. And again, it came together very quickly. The design was kind of already thought out for me. So it was just kind of embellishing and placing things around that. So that's how you can use a little bit of mixed media to get started on a layout. Now, as far as using cut files, you can use cut files too. It's a great way to get started. So right here, I had this big floral cut file, and I cut out the same flower in lots of smaller. They're different sizes. So I knew I had a main element that I wanted to use, which is the flower, and then I wanted to lay these around. And then from there, once I started placing everything, it just made sense for me to cut my picture into a circle. And that's how it came together. And it was very quick and very simple. And I just used some watercolors to color those. And I love how it turned out. So this one, I used this long title. This was actually a scrap lift. But I used the long title. And I knew I wanted to use the long title with the quote. So I, kind of figured out where I wanted to lay the title. And then the pictures were placed opposite to each other on the page, just like that. But I love how it came together again very quickly. Once you have a big title or a big cut file, it's a main element on the page, so it kind of dictates where everything else will go. So I love how that turned out. This one, again, this is a circle cut file. It's a huge element of the layout. So with these types of cut files, you can back them, you can paint them. I chose to back most of it, but not all of it. And this was a cut file as well. So it just, basically the layout was thought out for me because it's a big circle. So I kind of knew I had to embellish around it, or maybe in a corner. I'm not going to embellish over the whole thing because I still want the triangles to show. So it was a great way to start, and it came together again very quickly because I had a starting off point, which was the cut file. Lastly, I'm going to show this one. This is also a cut file, and this one I decided to actually print the cut file twice and use that as my background. I did back it with some pattern papers. I did use some jute back here to back it, and then naturally you don't want to cover the whole thing up, so you kind of have to pick a section where you want your photo to go, which is what I did here. I embellished a little bit around that, and then I added my title, and that's it. It came together very, very quickly. Basically, what I want you guys to get from this is that you can use, a cut file, you can use mixed media and just use it as a starting off point. And if you have no idea where to start off, just start playing. Play around with some colors, watercolors, mists, if you have shimmers, the dazzlers, anything that you have that is mixed media, play around with it. And gelatos even, whatever you have. Start playing and get messy and see where it goes. If you like it, you use it. If you don't, then you try again. There's no wrong or right way to do it. If you have a silhouette, then start cutting out some cut files and some backgrounds and just kind of start from there. So I don't know if I'm going to be using a cut file or mixed media yet. I have not decided, but I'm going to start working on it now, and I'm going to see where it goes. So I'm going to be back in just a second, and I will put you guys on fast forward so that I can go ahead and get my layout started. I will see you guys in a second. Okay, so I hope that intro was helpful, and I hope you got a few ideas, and I hope I explained myself and what I mean by this challenge. So I'm going to start off with a white piece of cardstock, and I'm going to use this stencil. This is by the Crafters Workshop, and it's called Mini Cubist. I decided to go ahead and use some simple mixed media for this. So I'm masking off one corner of the stencil. This stencil has a ton of little squares, and it goes from smallest to biggest, from one corner to the other. So I just masked off that corner there where the circles are smaller. And I'm going to use this Shimmers, this is one of the Dazzlers from Shimmers Paints, and it's a color called See You in the Morning. I love this color. It's like a pretty turquoisey, minty color, so it's really pretty. So I'm just going to use the stencil, and I'm just going to use that corner, and I just use it repeatedly. So I just created this fun diagonal background, and I'm going to use this photo. It's a photo of my niece's dog, Bruce, and this is on a walk that we took him, and he just looks really cute. It's like his back, but I love the angle of the picture, so I wanted to use it on this layout. So I printed it in black and white so that I could play around with the colors around it, and I pulled out my Posh collection from Simple Stories, and I'm going to embellish using that collection. So the background, or the paper that I used to mat the photo, it's actually a 4x6 card from the collection, and then I'm going to use all of the ephemera and everything from the collection. So I placed my photo there in that particular spot, kind of like if he's walking up a path is the way I saw it. So I didn't know I was going to use this photo when I did the background. I kind of, like I said in my intro, I play around with my background, and I play around with, you know, whether it's a cut file, whether it's mixed media, watercolors, whatever it is, I play around with it. And then I go from there. So that's how it happens for me in a lot of cases. I will start creating something, and then I will pick a photo to go with it. And it just works out that way for me. I know not everyone's brain works that way, but hopefully you guys can give this a try and try creating your own background and just play around with it. I did play around with this stencil a couple times before I got to this point where I wanted to use that corner. I was actually using the whole stencil, and I just decided I really like that corner with the small area. So I decided to use these letter stickers. These are from the collection. They're from the sticker sheet, and I'm gonna make my title "Let's Go for a Walk." Very creative, I know. So yeah, and basically, since my design is kind of going on a diagonal, I kind of have to work with that design. So that's what I'm doing here. As you can see, my title is kind of being laid, you know, over the squares, and just kind of nestling the title and the embellishments in the areas where the squares are not. So yeah, again, it's just something very, very simple to do. This particular layout, I decided not to do anything too crazy. I did something simple just to kind of show you guys that, you know, it doesn't have to be a super complicated background or a super busy background, or, you know, you don't have to do a ton of mixed media. You know, a little goes a long way, and especially when you're trying to create a background, you know, you got to start somewhere. So this is where I started, and then I just went with it, and I really like how it turned out. So I'm just, again, using embellishments from the collection. This is all from the Simple Stories Posh collection, and I play around with a couple things. I knew I wanted to use those little birds just because we're outside, and they fit really nicely, and they're adorable, so I wanted to use those birds. And I'm just shifting my title over just to get it kind of the way that I wanted. And I'm looking through all the embellishments and the clear stickers, and it's a little bit overwhelming when you have a collection, when you have a lot of a collection, because I have a bunch of things from this collection, because you kind of want to use everything, and you know, and then it's just, that's why it became a little bit overwhelming. But you know, as far as embellishment goes, I kept it pretty simple in the end. So I'm just playing around with those little banners that come in the ephemera pack, and I am going to end up using a couple of those. So those will make it onto the layout. But yeah, once I had this background done, it just was kind of just getting the embellishments together and figuring out what I wanted to use and what matched and what phrases and such. So it did come together really, really quickly. So I really hope this is something you guys can try. If you do, let me know. Let me know in the comments down below. Remember, make sure you comment on the video and the other ladies' videos as well, because we are giving away Victoria's class. So commenting on the video does get you an entry. You can get 1 entry per week. So definitely make sure you comment on our videos so that you could be entered to win the awesome prize, which is a class from Victoria Marie. So everyone's going to be linked below, and I will link Victoria below as well. So yeah, so I'm just messing around here with some arrows, and since I have those spaces in between those squares, I decided to just use a few arrows here and there. And I was using the ones from the ephemera pack, and then I grabbed the ones from the sticker sheet, which I'll do in just a second. And I'll just swap them out and kind of play around with the placement of the arrows and where I want them. So yeah, just again, very simple embellishing. I'm going to use this paper in the background, and I'm going to use it not around the whole thing, but just kind of peeking out on 2 sides of the layout. And I'm actually going to stick it down one way, but you're going to see in the end it's going to be actually the other way. I'm going to kind of have the 2 edges that are showing be on the bottom and then the right of the layout. Just because when I was looking at it, it just made so much more sense, because that's the way that the I guess little path that he's walking on is going. So I will change that. So you see me glue it down like this, but I'm going to change it, and I'm going to move it, and it's going to be showing on the right hand side and then the bottom as well. So you'll see that in the shots, in the still shots. So I'm just again messing around with the arrows and getting those on there. I keep it very simple. Again, we just wanted to show you guys something really simple that you could do, and I really like how it turned out. Nice and sweet and simple. So just a few arrows. I'm going to add a few hearts as well, and I'm going to add those little pieces from the sticker sheet, and yeah, just very simple stuff, you guys. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I hope you guys have are enjoying, because it's still not done, this series. We still have 2 more videos after this to go, 2 more weeks. So there's tons of inspiration still to come for you. So make sure you guys are subscribed to everyone's channel so you can check out all the videos every week. And again, comment so you can win a prize, which is a class from Victoria Marie. It's a class on how to create a kit from your stash. So that's an awesome class, you guys. Make sure you guys comment, and yeah, just give us your feedback. We love to hear from you guys, and we love to know what you guys are thinking and if this is helpful for you. So make sure you leave us feedback, because we always enjoy that, and I love reading your comments, so I appreciate them every time that you guys do leave them. So yeah, at this point I was happy with the way that it looked, and again, I'm going to switch over that paper to the other edge, and that is going to be it. So thanks so much for stopping by, you guys. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I will see you guys very soon with another process video. Until next time, I'll see you. Bye.